OTB SPORTS.
In association with Vodafone, proudly supporting the Irish women's rugby team.
We all belong to the team of us.
Yes, you're very welcome along. It's Aisling O'Reilly here with you for the Women's Six Nations show, happening each and every week, looking ahead to all of that Six Nations action. Unfortunately, Ireland did come away with a loss against Wales last weekend. It finished up 27-19 to Wales in the end, but a lot of positives to take from it, and we're going to get into all of that. This weekend as well, they face France in the opening game of round 2 in Toulouse, in a game that kicks off at 2:15 p.m. So we're going to chat all about that. Delighted to say that I'm joined by two former Ireland internationals. Fiona Hayes, how's it going?
Aisling, what's the crack? How are you?
Good now, Fiona. And Alison Miller, how are you, Alison?
I'm good, how are you?
Good now, good. Fiona, you're literally just off the pitch. What happened? Who was playing? Tell us all.
It's not even over, Aisling.
Oh, no.
My school are in the Munster Senior Cup, so there was 5 minutes left, but the game rate was 25 minutes late in starting. So look, I'm here anyway.
Wow, and how are we looking?
We're 19-17 up.
Oh my God, you're some woman then. You must be on edge.
I am. I'm hanging on to my seat, but I'm all right. I'm all good. I can multitask.
Yes, you definitely can. Fair play to you. Well, we'll jump straight into it. A great action over the weekend for the Six Nations to kick it all off. I suppose, Alison, for Ireland, it was a game we wanted to win. We looked well, we started well, but we just couldn't hold on in the end. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, I think it was the best game of the weekend in terms of if you were going to be a neutral and you were looking at a game with spectacle, because it was tight. The other games were a little bit more one-sided, but I suppose this Irish team are very new and inexperienced, so there was positives to the game. They showed good attacking shape and they scored some nice tries when they were in the Welsh 22. I suppose overall, Wales have brought back some experienced people that have gone into their setup, and I think the power game, Wales used their power game at the end to really close out the win. And I suppose for Ireland, it's looking at how they can really defend that line out maul and see how they can close that off, because I suppose Greg McWilliams is looking for a mobile pack, but I think at times just towards the end, the real size of the Welsh forwards was kind of obvious to see.
Yeah, they did struggle at times for sure. And Fiona, it was 14-5 at half time. Ireland looked in a good situation, even though Wales were quite dominant, but they were holding their own.
Yeah, they were doing some nice stuff. I think Ali hit the nail on the head when she was saying that mobile pack. It was something I saw at the start of the game, Aisling, when I saw the squad at first. I thought, okay, we're lacking a bit of firepower. Everyone, they're fit, they're fast, they're really good players. But sometimes when you need to slow down ball, or when things are going against you, or you need to stop them all at source, or even scrummaging wise, you need bigger players in there. And I suppose in the second half, that's where I think Wales pushed on through. They changed their game plan a little bit. They slowed things down. They held on to the ball. As we saw by the stats, Ireland had 32% possession by the end of the game, which is crazy to think. But it was just the way they done things. They kept it nice and tight. They saw that maul worked in the first half, and they went back to it. They went to the pick and go. And of course, Donna Rose came on and made a big impact off the bench for Wales.
And for Ireland, was that a bit of lack of experience? I know we had some girls out there playing international rugby in front of crowds for the first time, some for their first caps as well. Were we lacking that bit of experience a small bit there, Fiona?
I think so, and you have to understand that it's a relatively kind of not new squad, but Emer Constantine and Catherine Danes are the most capped players on that squad. And you look at Wales, it's very, very different. The very different front row. We talked about 54 kgs in the front row between both sets of props and hookers. So look, I think it was lack of experience. This will definitely stand to them. There was times near the end of the game where I wanted players to go and get the ball back. There was 6 minutes left, stuff like that. They need to understand how to slow down Welsh ball, how when you're 4 to 5 minutes left in the clock, there's no point hitting someone and fanning out in defence. You've got to fight for your life to get that ball back. And they were within 4 points. So all those things will come to them. And I think they'll look at a lot of stuff. That video will stand to them. They'll look back at that and they'll need to really go into detail around certain areas, scrum, maul, and especially in defence when it comes to this French game at the weekend.
Yeah, and as you said, a lot of probably unexperienced players in there. There was a lot of talk about Aoibhinn Riley before the game. She got her first cap. Alison, how do you think she got on?
Yeah, I think she had a solid first cap debut. You know, it's not easy to go out there on your first game and play, but I thought she had a good relationship with Nicole. You know, she'll obviously look back at parts of her game where she wasn't happy with and parts that she was happy. That's just part and parcel. But I thought in general, our backline looked dangerous at times. I thought Eve Higgins and Stacey Flood really partnered well in the midfield. I think Stacey had a very good game. You saw her few skip passes out to Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe for a try, and likewise a lot of situations in the pitch. I thought Lucy Mulhall complemented well with Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe. They both played a different style of wing play. I think Lucy came on Saturday and kind of played, I suppose, what we saw Mac Hansen doing in the Six Nations, the kind of real playmaking type of winger, where she came in for actually Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe and gave a nice pass to Stacey, who gave it to Amy. And again, for Stacey's try down the end, she saw at the base of the ruck that we had numbers, passed it to Emer and created a try. So in contrast then to the real finishing ability, that real lethal finishing of Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe. So I think they complemented really well. And I think that backline is looking dangerous, but I think it always comes down to our forwards as well. We have to have, you know, set piece dominance. We have to have dominance in our collisions. We have to have, you know, clean up our breakdown in, you know, so that we can get those backs. And obviously we need to have more possession so they can execute. But I thought there was real glimmers of attacking intent when those girls got the ball. And I thought Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe's finish, she had a lot to do for a finish. I know we see her as being a speed merchant, but she had a lot of work to do I think she bet 2 or 3 defenders to finish off. So it was really nice to see that.
Yeah, it was a brilliant try, and she had to have the confidence, I suppose, to take it on as well, and she really has that. And I know you mentioned her speed as well. It's something else. She's really dangerous on that wing, Fiona.
She's lethal on that wing, you know, and she's so exciting to watch. She's just someone you see working really hard, and Ali know a lot about that from the 7th circuit when Ali was up at camp. Obviously, us forwards don't really care what those backs be up to half the time, only that they're scoring tries. But it's her work rate that I just amazed by. I played with her when she was 18 years of age on a Munster team, and her willingness to learn. She switched over from the 7s to the 15s, not a bother. Her positioning has improved so much, and she's one of the players to watch in the world on the wing, I think. You know what I mean? We've 2 world-class wingers, in my opinion. You've got Bevan and you've got Amy Lee, and that's something we need to start utilising as well and getting on the ball.
Just mentioning Bevan there, obviously we were unsure before the game the full reason why she wasn't starting. She came on, and I suppose it was a tough time in the game to come on. Do we know really why she was left on the bench, like, for the start of it, Alison?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
We're speculating.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I suppose we'll like, you know, if she's fit and ready to go, she should be starting this weekend, so we should know more by that. But Fiona made a good point about our world-class wingers, and what I'd love to see them really develop in their game. I know Greg McWilliams will be a big advocate of that, because when I played under him, he was very much about getting his wingers involved, getting them off their wings. So I'd love to see, you know, against France, Bevan Parsons and Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe going roaming. You know, if the ball doesn't come to their wing and it goes back the other way, that they start getting in and looking for opportunities to run those ghost balls or those ghost lines or wherever they can find the lazy defender. I think, you know, they can even be more dangerous up against, you know, a lazy defender or a forward or a mismatch. And I think that's they can be a really potent part of Ireland's game plan, is getting the ball to them, but also giving them the license to go and roam and pick out opportunities for themselves, because I think that's when they can be really dangerous in the modern game. Because you might not, in the modern game, I don't think you get the same opportunities as maybe 10 years ago. Defences are stronger, the line speed is harder, so them coming off their wings and potentially running at a forward of the line, I think there's no stopping them. And I'd love to see that evolution of both of their game. I think that will come with Greg. I think he's the right man to develop that.
Yeah, just listening to them in the press conferences this week, speaking about Greg, like, they literally light up and talk about him with such awe, that he really encourages them so much. What was he like, I suppose, to play under?
I'll take that one. He was really good. Ali would have dealt with him a lot more in the back line, like as in he's detailed. He's very detailed. He'd show you, an iPad and point out the lines of running and different things like that. But I just think, a word that was used to describe him as holistic. He's a holistic coach, and I think that's what Ireland needed. I think on the back of everything that's happened, they needed someone to come in and and bring them together, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, there's a great buzz about him, the way he speaks. You hear him in the press conferences. He doesn't put anyone down. He bigs up his players. He understands that confidence is low. He isn't looking at results right now. Obviously, there's part of him is, but he wants these players to be at a place where they're happy and enjoying rugby, and that probably hadn't happened for a long time. And also that they're all connecting. 7s, 15 are connecting really well together, and I think that's what he's done, because he's been transparent from the start. We know that they'll be gone for the last 2 games. They've been told to play IL. Everything just seems like it's so simple to fix. When we looked at a report and Greg has come in and he said, look, this is what we're doing. And I think it's brilliant to watch. But on top of that, he's detailing, delivering stuff. He's very into exciting rugby. He likes ball alive. He likes fit, fast characters. And we see it in the team he's picked.
Yeah, big time. It's a really exciting time. And just bringing it back to the Wales game, that game-changing moment, I suppose, was when Emer Considine got sin-binned for not rolling away at the breakdown. Alison, do you think things might have been different, if we still had her on the pitch?
Well, it's hard to say that now, but, I thought it was quite harsh. But these things happen in the game, and they can happen in the modern game. You'll see things are happening now, like red cards, that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago, and teams just have to get better at not putting themselves in those positions, and then if they're in that position, how you deal with it. And I think, look, it was unlucky, it was harsh. It's hard to say, like, hindsight or forward thinking, whatever we like to say is a great thing, but it didn't help matters anyway. But I think, I don't know, I'm interested to see what Fiona thinks, actually, being on a coach's head there.
Yeah,
look, I don't know, it's funny. What part of the game, Al, are you?
Just Emer, Ashley was asking.
See, this is, I know, but it's hard to say, because when I was watching it in the moment of it, right, the referee got it wrong. She actually, she gave the signal. Her signal was like not releasing, which is the player on the ground, right?
Because Stacey was jumping up and down for it, and everyone,
everyone was delighted. Now, obviously, something came in from the sideline that said, okay, well, the reason she wasn't releasing was because Emer was on the wrong side. So I actually think that she was correct. Emer was on the wrong side, but she rolled away quick enough for them to continue to play. So look, you can't blame the referee in these instances, but it's really hard to say. I think with the attack, their last scrum, they would not have attacked the right hand side if the full back was there. So it gave them it gave them the space to attack it, because Nicole had to come up and bite in, and then it was a one-on-one on the outside, and unfortunately we missed a tackle, so that means there's no full back in to make the final tackle. So it did interfere with the game, but it's a harsh one, because it was a team penalty, and the ref could have given it either way also.
It really is a harsh one. That's why I brought it up, because I actually really wanted to see what you both thought. That's really interesting. And as we know, we're bringing you this Six Nations coverage each and every week with thanks to Vodafone, proudly supporting the Irish women's rugby team. We all belong to the team of us. And Alison, for Wales, what a win for them. It was a really big moment, and you could tell after the game on the pitch what it meant to them.
Yeah, obviously 45-0 last year, and they were obviously at crisis point in terms of their camp and coaching, and the different coaches leaving and coming back, and there was players left out that were there's players back involved there on Saturday that hadn't been involved in 2 or 3 years. So they've much improved. Obviously they have their huge pack, and that traditional style, their maul is so effective. That has always been a case. They've always had big forwards. They've always had a power game in Wales. Even back in our time when we played, it was always difficult to play against them. But I thought they actually had quite improved their backline play. Their defence was very good. So for them to get that win, and it was obviously they were very happy. They were delighted, obviously, and obviously it was hard to know if those 12-time full-time contracts would have taken effect yet, because you don't know how long it actually would take for full-time players to reap the rewards of that training. But you could see it obviously did. Now, obviously last year, I don't think Wales were probably as bad as they showed on that day, and Ireland probably weren't as good as they showed on that day. So the 45-0 scoreline last year is probably a bit deceptive in that sense. It probably wasn't that huge of a margin. But like Wales are going to a World Cup now, so they are obviously going to be happy with parts of their game. And, we saw, the players like Jasmine Joyce that, was looking to break loose. I thought we defended her quite well. Obviously, she scored her try, but they showed good facets of play, and I think that they'll be happy with their progress under their new coach.
Yeah, they were really impressive at times. And Fiona, you had a tough job naming the team of the week across all of the Six Nations teams. Can you name your team for us?
I think, did you put it up on the screen there? Or
yes.
You went, okay, yeah, no,
Go
she
ahead.
was... Because I'll start that. So it was a tough one. I won't spend too long, but it was a tough one because Ireland lost. I thought I have to say Linda Dung was excellent, but unfortunately she was on the losing side, so I had to go with Gwendolyn Pearce. I thought she was very good in the scrum. I thought they got sheer dominance in the second half, and as Lou said, and then look, Lark Davies, what can you say? Like, England have like such a vast range of hookers, and she was absolutely lethal against Scotland. She was everywhere in the pitch, as well as her throwing in the lineouts. And the duo of tight head is Sarah Byrne. Ali will know her well. What a player, Ali. Probably one of the best tight heads to watch. She's like a back row going around the place, but she's got just sheer strength. And I think, was it a shot putter she was before, Ali, or...
No, that was Shauna Brown, I think.
Oh yeah, well she was definitely.
Maybe she was.
She was. I think she done shot put. It was training for the Olympics, and you could see it in her build. She's a class player. Medusa Fall for France was absolutely outstanding against Italy. She was everywhere for a second row. I think she outshone the French back row, which is a very hard thing to do. And of course, our own Sam Monaghan, Sonny Bill Monaghan, I think they're calling her. What an offload for
So
Linda's
impressive.
try. Yeah, so good. But it was her work rate that like absolutely blasted me out of the park, because she was everywhere. She was she's so physical, and she was the go-to person in the line out as well at times. I thought it'd be Nicola Friday, but they went to her a lot. Alicia Butchers for Wales, like, just immense. Another person in the Welsh line out controlled that maul perfectly, and therefore got man of the match. So our woman of the match, she was excellent. And to finish off that pack, then you have Marley Packer in at 7. She got a hat trick for England. I hate saying it, but she was absolutely outstanding as well.
It's all right, Fiona, we all do.
Yeah, she was pretty good. To be fair to her, she's kind of been in and out of that squad for a while. Like, she was a consistent, and in the last year maybe there's been other players in and out, but she came back with a bang, and I think she'll be prevalent for them at 7 for the World Cup. And then to finish off the pack, Jay Congal for Scotland. They were in the back of a big loss, but I watched her in the game. Her work rate, she controlled that pack, and their scoreline also doesn't tell how Scotland played as well. I thought they were really, really good at times, and they've definitely improved since the qualifiers. Leanne Infante for England at 9. What can I say about her? Formerly Leanne Riley. I didn't even know her name when I saw Infante, because she's changed it. She's just
married.
She got married. She's brilliant. She's a class act, and she showed that in the England win against Scotland, guiding the pack everywhere. For me, like, a lot of people were giving out because she overkicked. I thought Beatrice Rigoni was so good. She's so exciting to watch. Probably overplays it at times, but sure, look, that's Italy. They're beautiful. They're beautiful to watch, and she just done some really, really good play, and she definitely was the 10 that kind of I loved watching through the whole weekend. Jasmine Joyce, Ali talked about earlier. She's electric. She's so hard to track, and she's so hard to defend. Ireland did it for a while, but she eventually broke the deadlock, and her feet are just so good. We had Vernier for France. She was at 12. She ran probably not the best French attacking game I've ever seen, but she was definitely consistent in her running lines and her tackle tech. She didn't leave the Italians through. Emily Scarrett out for how long and just walks back into that England squad and controls things. Beautiful little out the back pass as well she had for Packer to put her away in the corner. So she's another one who had a really, really good game. She got Abby Dow away for a few scores as well. We talked about her earlier, Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe, like immense, has to be on the team of the week. Just to try, she scores that little step in and then step out to take the winger. It's so good to watch. And finally, we have to put in the French fullback, Jacquet. She was outstanding at times in defence, especially against Italy. She was really good. They kicked the ball through on her a lot, and I thought her distribution, when she got it, she looked around her, attacked and kicked really well. So that's my team of the week.
Brilliant team. Really tough to pick, I'd say. Alison, would you make any changes or anyone that you think feels or deserves to be in there?
She'd have a full team of backs, wouldn't you, Ali? You'd have all backs in all positions.
Yeah, be really mobile then. I just thought Abby Dow. I suppose with England, they're so dominant in their forwards, and a lot of their tries come from their pack that obviously as a back, I'd love to see them move the ball, but her try was sensational. She handed off Rona Lloyd and just went around the Scottish fullback. They actually didn't get a hand to her, so I'd nearly be putting Abby Dow in for Joyce. Maybe and Ellie Kildon had another good game at 15. So
I think Ali's just going to put the whole England squad in here. As
much as it kills me, maybe I do a swap Kildon for the French fullback. It's hard to know with the French because the French looked so clinical at times, and then yet at other times they couldn't impose themselves with the possession and the dominance they had. So it's a hard team. I'm gonna look.
God.
I probably wouldn't disagree with too much else, to be honest. I'm just looking at it here. No, I that's all I'm really going to say. I thought what was bizarre actually was the Italians taking off their 12. She was the most dangerous player on the field. Well, not on the field, but for, I suppose, at times, and they took her off. So that was interesting. But she had a solid game until she was substituted.
Yeah, she'd a very good game. Dinka, wasn't it? Sophia Dinka. Yeah.
And is there 3 key performers that you'd like to pick out there, Fiona? Or Alison, you might jump in for Fiona. We've lost her there just for a minute. No problem. We'll get them back now in just a moment's time. Just a reminder to keep an eye on Wednesday Night Rugby each week. We're giving away tickets to every home game for the Women's Six Nations with thanks to Vodafone, proudly supporting the Irish women's rugby team. We all belong to the team of us, and we're going to get into chatting a little bit about next weekend as well. And we have the France game, which we all know is going to be a very tough game, but hopefully we can learn from the game against Wales and really improve. And I think we have both of them back again. Alison and Fiona, you're there?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
Good stuff. And just to chat about this weekend, as well, against France. It's a massive task, Alison, for Ireland to go in there, but I suppose we hope to see some improvements and some learnings from the game against Wales.
Yeah, I suppose the first thing is I think we gave away something like 16 penalties, which will have to really bring that number down, especially for playing against France, because not only will they punish us for giving away penalties, but even if we turn over ball, that's when they're really dangerous, when they transition from defence to attack. We only had 32% possession, so we'll need some more. We'll need to try and get our hands on the ball and hold on to possession a little bit longer to try and get our mobile pack and our backs involved to try and get those scores. We talked about our line out. Our line out wasn't too bad, but I suppose it's really our defence of the line out maul that against Wales and France have an even bigger pack than Wales will. So something that they'll be dangerous in the physical size of France and their carriers. Even if it's around the pitch, we're going to have to get in there. And I think maybe what we were missing on Saturday was probably a Claire Malloy, Ciara Griffin type figure to turn over ball. We didn't see our back row played well, but I think across the balance of that back row, we were probably missing someone to get in over that ball and get our possession back. So we'll need one of our back rowers or all our back rowers to try and get in and play that role, because I think that was something that was missing. Obviously, our front five came under pressure at times in the scrum, so we're going to have to shore that up and, give our backs the platform to play. But, the French, like, the interesting about the French is I'm not even sure who their best team is. Like, from like 1 week to the next, like, I'm not sure. Fiona might be able to shed more light, but Marjorie Mayon, who was the player of the match in Dublin, wasn't involved on Sunday. Not sure if she's injured, just wasn't selected. You've got probably one of my favourite wingers, Cyril Bane, wasn't playing. She's just a world-class winger. You look at the bench, you've got Boulard come on to score a really good try. Menage didn't have a great game, even though she's a world-class player. I'm not even sure what their best 15 is. That is such the dangerous thing about France. And I think I read that Safi Ndiaye is back in the training squad. Now, I don't know if she'll feature this weekend. It might be a bit early.
She's out for 3 games. I think they've confirmed she'll come back in for the last 2, Yeah,
no, they did say they brought her back this week, but it's probably a bit too soon for the Ireland game. But the thing about France is they can play a tight and narrow game, but they can also spread it wide. They've got quality players like Sanzus came on. Sanzus, my French came on. My French teacher would be horrified listening to this. Came on and changed the game, and they just have the ability that they've got their offloading ability, but they've got the tight game, and they've also got the ability to use their dangerous backs. So, Ireland are going to have to really, trying to counteract that whatever way they can.
Yeah, big time. And France, they had a 39-6 win over Italy at the weekend, so they're really coming into this game full of confidence. Fiona, were you impressed with them?
No, that's the thing. I was doing comms through the game, and I was like, oh my God, they were in second gear. The amount of handling errors, I'd say they were up around the 20 mark, no joke, after 60 minutes. So that's actually frightening when you hear the scoreline like that. I was impressed that they opted for the last 20 minutes, so they have the ability to shift up a gear, and when they want to, they can go at you. And that's what's frightening about France. So there was a lot of errors. Their scrum, they gave away 3 or 4 penalties in the against Italian scrum, which would have been unusual for a French scrum. So they'll tighten up a lot of those things. I think if Ireland had played them last week, I think it would be a very close game. But I would imagine that with their errors, they would have focused on a lot of areas. And I think towards the latter end of the game, we really saw the France that we know they can be. The crowd was absolutely immense. It was crazy. The hairs were standing up on my hand or the back of my neck when I was hearing the national anthems. So you know what, it's like a cauldron in there. It's absolutely crazy. So if Ireland don't bring their A game, they will be in trouble. France are always really impressive, and when they want to play, and especially at home. And I think after that showing last week, they wouldn't be too happy with what they done for their crowd. So I think Ireland are going to be in for a real treat on Saturday.
Yeah, a really exciting weekend of Six Nations to come, and hopefully Ireland can put in a really positive performance. I think that's what a lot of us will be looking for. My thanks to Fiona Hayes and Alison Miller for joining me today, and we'll be back again next week. We'll see you then.